The inspiring story of how to major in communications and star in the campus production of Our Town. Goodbye, boys. We may never meet again.
I'm a telephone company repairman.
Bicycle repairman!
I was sent out to do a little rescue job.
You see, the phone company cares even less about its employees than it does about the public. Alright, let's see, right in there.
A telephone pole doesn't make a very good landing field for a model airplane.
But it does make a decadent crepe Suzette. Let's see here, Northwestern, figures. A young Tenacious D feels remorse. Kill me. Kill me first. I attempted to lecture the boys, but realized I couldn't afford a boom mic.
I asked the boys their names.
JB and KG, sir.
One was named Pete Morrison, lived nearby. The other boy was Joe White. He lived down the block.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get tough with the boys.
I had no voice.
I knew they hadn't done it on purpose. I told them they'd have to be more careful next time, though. Telephone lines are a mighty important part of our town's communication system.
Yes.
I asked the boys if they knew what communication meant.
Saying words
Joe
good?
said he guessed it meant people talking to each other.
What a moron.
That was right in a way, but communications is much more important than just talking.
Why, it's also
When
yelling
you
and
crook
cursing.
your finger at somebody, that means, come here.
I'm going to slap
That's
you.
a kind of communication too, just like talking. It transfers an idea. That's what communication means, transferring an idea.
At this time, I was
Do you
required
know
by
what would
Megan's Law
happen
to
if
inform the
all
boys.
Our communication suddenly stopped working. I asked the boys that. Why, for one thing, I said, there wouldn't be any programs on the radio. No more serials.
No
or
Captain
adventure
Crunch.
Stories. No more
Blam.
funnies either.
Does that mean your story would end too, sir?
Radio and newspapers are kinds of communication too, but communication is a lot more important than serials and funny papers.
Why, there's hateful propaganda, pornography, and rap music.
Suppose you became sick all of a sudden and your mother decided to call the doctor.
The phone company could make sure she never got through, capiche?
If the phone was out of order, it might be hours before he could be reached, and that could be serious.
If you value your life, Joe.
Without communications, our town wouldn't get along well at all. But we could still talk to each other, Pete said.
With his disembodied voice?
Pete was right. Talking together, face to face, is a form of communication.
As is
That's
detached
the
narration.
simplest kind we have. But when we aren't that close together, when we're so far apart that we can't even shout to each other,
Yeah.
then we need another kind of communication.
Bondage.
I showed Pete and Joe what I meant.
Uh-huh.
Even when you're several blocks apart, you can still talk together. Over a telephone wire.
Yeah.
We might say
Touch
the
industrial
wire
wires
ties
whenever you
together.
can, boys.
Communications tie everybody in our whole community together like that.
Hey, it's Mr. McFeely.
The postman carrying the mail also helps connect everybody in our community.
He's spread his seed
Our
well.
community is tied together by many different lines of communication. While I was talking to the boys, I had an idea. We played a game of make-believe.
Or more specifically, a high-stakes game of gin rummy. Mess with me, boys, and I'll cut you.
We pretended a roll of tape was Pete's house,
Mm-hmm.
and another roll was Joe's house.
Okay.
An insulator was a church.
Right.
It even had a steeple.
Hey.
Joe's pocket knife was a butcher shop. And a notebook was
Well, it's a
boys'
gigantic
school.
notebook. I immediately stepped on the church, declaring God is dead.
I put a wire between Joe's house and Pete's. There was a telephone connection at Pete's house, and a connection at Joe's house. The telephone wire tied the boys' houses together. In the same way, we connected the boys' houses with the butcher shop.
Where Pete's mom spends an unusual amount of time lately.
And with the school.
Can we just have our plane back, mister?
But that was only one way in which these places are tied together.
Right.
We can send letters between them too, you know. So I borrowed some writing paper from the school.
Hundreds die as the roof collapses.
We pretended the pieces of paper were letters. As the boys knew, a letter could be sent from Pete's house to Joe's.
Containing
The
compromising
butcher shop could
photographs.
send a bill to Joe's house. Mail could be sent between all these places.
I couldn't
But
emphasize
what
this
about the
enough.
church, Pete wanted to know. I said, sure. We can telephone or send mail to the church, too. But there's another way a church can communicate
He's
with us,
completed the
isn't there?
pentagram.
The boys couldn't guess how.
A fatwa is issued calling for the death of all infidels.
The bells say, come to church, come to church. I explain that you hear certain kinds of communication. What does the alarm clock say?
Come to
It
church,
says,
come
"Get
to
up,
church."
Time to go to work. What does a factory whistle say?
You are property
It
of this
says,
factory and have no will of your own?
Time to go home. What does the siren on the fire truck say?
Happy hour,
It says,
woo!
Get out of the way, there's a fire. But I explained, there are also kinds of communication that you see instead of hear.
Like me talking.
When a policeman raises his hand,
Duck.
what does his signal mean? That's right. It tells the people in the cars to stop or go. Even flashes of light and code can communicate ideas. Signs are also signals. Some signs don't even need words.
Like this one that means get bent. Now entering Antelope
Other
Freeway.
signs come right out and say it. They give a warning to keep people from getting hurt. People read newspapers that tell the latest happenings.
Damn libertarians.
They receive letters that carry messages from friends.
Dear John.
People go to the movies to see and hear a story.
And computer-generated monkeys.
I explained to Pete and Joe that our town works better because it's tied together by communications.
Yeah, that's great.
But I said, communications also tie us to other towns.
Okay.
We played make-believe again, pretended Iraq was a big city far away.
Iraq is a
When
small
I
country,
asked the
but
boys
whatever.
what kind of communication tied us to the city, Pete thought of one right away. Mail, he said.
Then no one said anything for a little while.
Then Joe thought of another kind of communication. Telephone long distance.
Here we go again.
I connected our town and the city with a long-distance wire. After they leave our town, I said, telephone wires run along the highway and across the fields and over the rivers.
And through the woods. Oh, Metropolis.
All the way to the city.
Hmm.
And in the city, there are telephone operators and switchboards which make it possible
Mom
for
Mabel.
us to talk with
And
people in
Mom
almost
Mabel, too.
every country in the world.
Except Sweden.
But, I said, there are other long-distance communications besides the telephone.
Like long-range missiles.
Radio doesn't even need wires. In split seconds through the air, it brings voices from abroad and makes us neighbors of people, half a world away.
Like this TV set here.
We have television, too, so that we can see as well as hear events happening
Sort of.
far away.
Well, here's my music, boys. Gotta go.
Communication ties us to everyone, everywhere. There are simple kinds like talking together, and complicated kinds like
Like elaborate
television.
diagrams on the sidewalk.
Simple or complicated, all are important.
And hopelessly dull.
I had to go about then, but before I left, Pete told me he
No!
had an idea. He said that he and
Oh,
Joe would try
gosh,
to
don't do
find
that,
out
man.
just how many different kinds of communication they could find in their neighborhood. Say, I'll bet they had fun.
Yeah.
How would you like to try that idea?
Me? Why, not at all. Bye, bye. Should we call the police? Bye, okay, bye, see ya.